Hey there everybody. So today we're going to be looking at some crowd simulation features within Houdini, and we're going to be learning how to make our own little scene with some agents within Houdini, I guess. So first of all, you're going to want to open up a new project if you haven't already. You can do that just by pressing up here and pressing new, or Control N is the hotkey. So we'll just open a new scene, even though I already have one open. Okay. Now for most of our features, we're going to want to navigate to the crowds panel up in the top right here. And this is where we can see all the different functions that we have for crowds within Houdini. The first one I want to press is simulate, which you can, if you hold control and then click it, it automatically sets it up in your scene for you. So I'll just wait for that to load. And there we go. As you can see from this, we have created a small little scene, and this contains 1,000 characters. In Houdini, these are called agents, each one of these individuals, and it represents just a character or a rig within a scene. If you see, if we press W here, each of these is a rig, and they all have animation set to them, which is pretty cool. Okay, so as you can see here, it's created a few different nodes. The one we want to go into first is the dot network, the crowd sim. So if you just double click it, open it up. Okay, we'll have a look at these nodes. So these pink ones are the different states that these agents can be in. So for example, walking, standing, and ragdolling. Right now they're all in the standing state, as you can tell, just because they're not moving or anything. But if we go ahead and start it up, after pressing, make sure to press the real-time toggle, just so it doesn't play on any unnatural speeds. And then if you simulate, they will start to walk. The time at which it takes for them to start walk is random, so it makes a more natural starts and or not all walking at the same pace. But you'll notice that they just all walk in a straight line at the moment, and they are avoiding each other's interference zone, as you may say, and so they don't walk into each other very much at the moment. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good for now. Okay, and that's the pink nodes. The orange nodes are the trigger nodes, which identify a change to occur. Here it has state duration as the trigger name. So that's just referring to the fact that after a certain amount of time, which is duration, is when this trigger can occur. It's not exactly at this time, but it's so you see the comparison is greater than. So if it's greater than this time, if the frame is greater than this duration, then we can start the agent's movement. And you can see this is dictated, the input state is standing, the output state is walking. So after this is triggered, they move from standing to walking. And you can use these buttons to change the states that they're in the input and output. Okay, so let's reset the scene by holding Control and up. It'll just bring it back to start, and if you made any changes, it would just reset the simulation. Then we will, to show this off the output state and input state of the trigger, we can change the walk state to the ragdoll, so the output is now ragdoll. So technically, when the simulation starts, after the duration, they should now change to the ragdoll state, which is right here, which has already been set. You can create your own states. So you could have, like, for example, a dancing one, or a sprinting one, or a jumping one. You just have to set it for these rigs here. And so if it works for them, it will work for the whole crowd. You just have to put the state and then the transition between each one using these two here as well. So now that we've changed it to ragdoll, obviously they'll just fall straight to the ground. So we need to create a ground plane. Just like that. And then, if you haven't already reset the simulation, get a good, nice view of some of the characters, the agents I mean, and then press the up arrow to start the simulation. As you can see, after a certain period of time, all the standing characters transition to ragdoll, and this will affect all of them, but the time it takes for them to be affected is randomized for the duration of state, which is pretty cool. It's useful for setting up certain changes for after a certain amount of time, or for certain groups, or anything like that. Okay, you can let that play, or if you don't want to, you can just press the up arrow again, and then, control up to reset it. Okay. We will go back into the DOP network and just change this back to walking for now. Just because it's the easiest. And yeah. Okay. Now we will be opening. We'll go back into the OBJ, the highest part of the hierarchy. Go into the crowdsource node this time. And we have some more features that more identify the crowd itself rather than just the animations of the crowd. So this is where you can change all the functions of the crowd, especially in this one here, this crowd source. So if you haven't already, just clicked it once to open up, and you can see here that this is where the number of agents is determined. So you can change it to something like 100, and boom, you have way less, and so it could be a smaller scene or anything. But it's very unnatural because of how big the area is, which is a bit crazy. So I'm going to quickly show you a couple of different ways to lay out the agents. So first of all, sorry, I'm just opening this again. So first of all, we can do the randomization, which is already on. There's two different ones, randomization and formation. So if you keep it on random, and if you change the area size to, like, say, for example, 12 and 12, and then already you have a much smaller area. And if you go even lower for like 6 or 6, then yeah, you can see that it's a much smaller crowd area. It's dictated by the area size, and then the agents will be randomly assigned within that area. And so then the second way is formation. And you can see here, it removes the function of number of agents and instead replaces it with rows and columns. So you can change the number of rows to like 8, and boom, it creates 8 rows back like that. And you can change the columns to like 20, or you can even do like 200, and there you go. It's made a massive army for you, which is pretty cool. And you can change the spacing, anything like that. I'm going to change it off to 200 because that's a big number, and that's probably going to wreck my computer. So anyway, these are the different ways of laying it out. For now, we will keep it on random though, just because it's easier to show some other features within it. With the random feature, you can somewhat paint the agents onto your scene. So instead of having a number of agents, you can paint them on however you want. So then you can have the number you want in the area you want. I'll make the area 20 by 20 just because I like to have the area to show you. It does not matter right now how big the area is. Okay, so in this area here, we will create, by right clicking, you can bring up this menu, and then in this, you can just start typing to search up grid, and then bring in a grid around about here, doesn't really matter, and put the grid into the crowd source. And then what you can do is scale up the grid by pressing T. Oops. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, scale up the grid by changing the size up here. So if you change it to 20 by 20 or something, then we'll have a much bigger area to work with. Does not really matter though. It's fine either way. Okay, now up in the crowds panel again, you are going to want to press the paint density. This will allow us to paint agents onto this grid in the area that you want. So you want to make the grid the size of your scene or the size of the area where the agent might want to be put. So you then click on one of the agents, you press enter, and then it's removed them all, but now we have a blue grid and this little paintbrush that you can see, a little one. And so if you hold shift and drag your left mouse button, or you scroll with your scroll wheel, you can change the size of this. The size is dictating the density of this brush. And you see if we start clicking, then you can add a whole bunch of agents where the mouse was. And so if you make a much smaller one, when you drag here, it'll make a much less dense area of agents. Okay, I am going to quickly remove that big crowd because that's crazy. And I'll move this down. And if you just want to create a few agents around, just a smaller crowd like this, that works pretty well, I think. You can do whatever you want. And obviously if you're making a scene with a certain crowd, you want to just place them however you want them to look at the scene for the starting point, that is. Okay, and then once you're done, you press escape on the keyboard to accept that and get rid of the brush tool. Then what we're going to do now is look at some of the features. We're going to look at the look at feature. So if you go up here and you create a tube, for example, and you just hit the enter key to place it in the scene, oops, press T to move it in front of these agents, just so they have a good, nice view of it. Oh, there we go. It doesn't really matter what you do here, but I'm just gonna scale mine up so it's like a nice big thing that the characters can interact with. It's all in front of them. Then what we're going to do is go select the DOP network here. Just on the top part of the hierarchy, and then you're going to want to press look at up in the crowds function, all states, so, and then press accept. And then once that's done, you're going to want to go into the object here and change this to the the tube that we made. And then you press accept. So what you see now is this agent over here, for example, is looking right at it. This guy over here is looking right at it too. Everyone's looking at it. And if we play the scene from the start, if you press Control and Alt, it will reset it, and then you press the up arrow or the play button to play it, all the agents, when they walk past it, will be looking right at this tube. So if there's something you're seeing you want the crowd to be invested in or look at, then you just set this to be the lookout function, and then everyone on the scene will be looking right at it. As you notice, as they pass, look at this guy here. Oh, never mind. As you notice that when they pass it, right here, the head snap back to normal, just because it'd be insane if they went backwards or anything like that. Okay. I just stop the scene and press the control arrow to reset it again. But now, as you saw, the crowd was walking right through this tube, which was not good. So, what we're going to want to do is go up here, select the tube, and then we're going to want to press the obstacle button. And that adds an obstacle in here for the tube object. So then the crowd, when it's coming through, does not want to interact with the thing that's in here, which in this case is the tube, but you can set it to be anything, obviously. You can set it to be the walls, you can set it to be a building, you can set it to be like a fountain in your scene or anything like that. And what you'll notice is when we press play now, the characters that might have once walked into it are walking all the way around it, avoiding it, which is pretty cool. Allows you to set a scene and make the agents walk how you want them to. Okay, now we're going to reset the scene by pressing Control up arrow again. Okay, and just as a bonus note, these characters do come with a preset texture, and so if you just go into press the crowd source node, don't double click or anything to press once, and you go into render at the top here in this panel, you go to material, and then you open up any of these three. I'll just open up the walk cycle one, then you open up materials, and then you press the clothing one, and you press accept, wait for a second, and there we go, we have a simple texture for all of these characters, which is pretty cool. But obviously you can make your own characters and you can make your own textures, which is probably the best way of doing this, but yeah, I won't do this tutorial because it takes way too long. Okay, for the second part of this tutorial, we will make a new scene. So right now just save it into your folder and then file, new. Yeah, you've already saved it, but just press save and new. Overwrite. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is, if you want to import some animation or a feature from online, we can do that pretty easily. So you start off by pressing agent, and then if you press FBX, it comes up with select an FBX file. So this is how you import your own FBX files, which are inclusive of characters and the animation of those characters. So from certain sites you can download characters performing certain animations, and then if you import those into here, we can straight away select them. So we will do that right now. Okay, so the site we're going to be using is Mixamo. On here they have lots of pre-made characters and animations that you can use. You will have to log in with an Adobe account. Okay. Just wait for it to load. Cool. So here we have some animations that it brings up. First of all, you want to select a character that you want in your scene. So this is just a basic rig that these guys have made, and so obviously if you make your own rig or anything and your own animations for the rig, you can use those as long as you can get an FBX file or a character rig for it. I'll just select this guy here. Wait for it to load. Bam, bam, bam. Actually, I think we'll just go for some zombies. Zombies are pretty cool. While that's loading, you can go to the animations side. And you can search up any animations that they might have here. I'm just going to look up some. So for the purposes of this one, I'm going to use this animation here just because it loops pretty well. And so we can easily get an animation out of that. So you just want to download it as an FBX with skin, sure, no worries. Frames per second, just leave it as default. Keyframe reduction, don't worry about that. And if you just download that, and wait for it to finish, and we'll jump back in Houdini in a sec. Okay, so now we're back in here and back in Houdini. You're gonna want to find your, oops. You're gonna want to find your download. Sure, I'll open that up. Choose an engine name, zombie. Okay. Leave that for a second. And as you can see, it is made of person. Although right now it does not have a texture, and if you press play, nothing happens. So that's fine for now. What I want to do is go to the create agent node here within the zombie setup. So if you go to, there's only made one thing here, zombie setup, and then you go to current clip, and then you can change it to mixmode.com, which is the one that automatically it is called this one as soon as you download it from the website. You can change this, but we won't do that for now. And so now if we play it, it does what we wanted to do for now. And it loops automatically, which is nice. So that's good. Okay, so now we have created this guy, added his animation. Obviously, if you import more animations, you can add them through here, and you can create the transition nodes and the trigger nodes that we were looking at before, add them anywhere in here. You just need to put it through these ones here. So now what we're going to want to do is go back into the OBJ file, top of the hierarchy, have this selected, and then you want to go up here into the crowd panel, and you want to press populate. It'll say now select terrain points for the crowd placement. So if you have an area where you want the agents to be placed, you would do that, but we don't. So we'll just hit enter without pressing anything else. And what we'll do is we'll create 1,000 agents for us, like the other scene we had before, but now we have a character model that we imported ourselves and some animation that we also imported ourselves. Obviously, you can change the animations and models to fit the scene, but what we're going to do now is, as if you go back to the start of the animation and you press play, they all do the motion at the exact same time and the exact same speed, which looks horrible, even if they are doing the exact same thing, which we don't want anyway. But if you go into the randomize area of the crowd source, and what you can do is randomize clip time. So what it's going to do now is each one of these will have a randomized start of the clip time. So what you can do is you press play now, then all exactly the same, but they're still pretty close. So you're going to put that up, and you can see if you put a 0, they're all the same. If you put it way up, they're all very different. So now if you press play from the start, a lot more natural, even if this is the most unnatural thing that's ever existed. Okay, anyway, go back to start, and once again, we can look at the number here. This is the same feature that we had before. You can change it down to 100, you can do any of this stuff. It's very cool. And yeah, that's it. Okay, anyway, that'll do it for this tutorial. I hope you learned something. If you have some spare time, just play around with some of these options. For example, the foot planting one allows you to add terrain that's not exactly flat or anything, and you get these characters walking up hills and stuff, which is very cool. The path one allows you to create a curve which the characters will generally follow. It's pretty good at that. Target position is a way you can want the characters to get to. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one.